Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 54 of the Gollum's Gamers podcast, where today we are back with another top 5 episode. Now, the last one of these top 5 episodes that we did was Christmas time last year, actually. So it's been almost a whole year since we've done one of these. But with the new edition now being announced as coming out in a couple weeks' time, we thought it would be a good time to go over our top 5, either memories from kind of playing this edition of the game, so just like favorite moments from actually playing, or our top 5 like favorite things about the edition itself, so things that we like about the current state of the game. So either or, but those are the things that we are going to be running through for each of us in this episode. But for the Spotify listener, tonight I'm joined by Sam, Ben, Ash, and Adam. And as always, you can find Instagram and Spotify by following the links in the description down below. And if you do enjoy all the MESBG content that we do make, please do remember to subscribe to us here on YouTube. So with that said, would anyone like to volunteer to go first to kick us off? Or am I going to have to pick on someone?
Don't forget, guys, smash that notification bell below.
Oh, I've almost forgot about the bell.
Oh.
Ding. Ash has been waiting. It's been a minute since we've podded, and he's been waiting.
I've missed all the emergency pods. I'm itching to just talk about.
Does this mean you want to go first?
Opinions.
Then is this you volunteering? I like.
Okay. Let's open it. Let's open up a juicy can of worms.
Sure.
One thing in this edition that has made many fond memories for me is shooting into combat as a mechanic, and some of the most ridiculous, unbelievable cursed moments that can occur when one shoots into combat, specifically as an evil player.
Is there a specific model you would like to, flag as being
that's actually not a bad. That's actually not a bad shout. Yeah. This goes on to another thing that I absolutely love about this edition, which is the 5-point orc tracker.
Actually, this isn't our top 5 favorite warrior models. We've already done that episode.
So come on,
the plug there.
I just think that the mechanic of shooting into combat it's unbalanced because only evil can do it. But I do really like it as a mechanism because it's very unlikely that it ever works. But when it does work, and if you set stuff up properly, so for example, I don't know, keeping 10 trackers stood still behind a combat.
In the unlikely event that you put 10 trackers behind Kilgalad.
Yeah, so if you think about shooting into combat and it's in the forefront of your head as one of your strategies, it can pay off quite nicely, especially in certain situations. So I've got 2 little examples which I'll talk about. One of them was excellent for me, and one of them was absolutely terrible for me. So I think I've probably told this story multiple times, but for the new listeners, you're welcome. You get to listen to it for the first time. So I was playing Mr. Will Champion, shout out to Will, at the Masters 2023. I had made a terrible move. He had fell beings with the Spider Queen. And he had charged into 2 of my Black Numenorians through a forest, and I was kind of like, oh, that caught me by surprise. Luckily, I think it was 8 trackers stationed behind a wall, looking really themey, peering over. And I went, oh, I guess the only way I stop losing the game, because effectively the Spider Queen could combat off of these 2 Black Numenorians around the side of my battle line and charge Suladan and the Witch King at the same time. So I hadn't positioned very well. This is a Masters third place playoff game as well, by the way, everybody. 3rd place Masters playoff game. So I thought, oh God, I've only got one chance to not screw this up. I'll take 8 shots into the Spider Queen's combat, hit 4 of them. 2 of them hit my Black Numenorians, so needing 6s. I was like, well, 2 6s here would be good. Rolls 2 6s, kills both the Black Numenorians. So the Spider Queen is now no longer in combat and also in a terrible position because she's now in a move off to get swarmed and absolutely murdered. The cherry on top was one of the other 2 hits hit the Spider Queen and even did a wound to her. So that was just unbelievable. I mean, basically won me the game.
The odds, eh? Yep.
The next story was I was playing Mighty David Clubley, shout out, in Contest of Champions at Into the West. And had a Corsair list, and I had my 450 point Harad list. So he basically kept 10 Arbalists stood still directly behind the combat that Saladin would charge into. So I thought, okay, I'll just charge Saladin into two guys, get some kills. And he just moved all of his spear supports out of the way. And I was like, uh-oh, I see what's going to happen here. He took 10 crossbow shots, immediately killed both the guys that were in combat with Saladin, killed his horse, and did 2 wounds. And I was like, oh God, this is really bad. Next move, charge in again. Well, actually, I think I lost the move off. So then he charges me, and he's like, okay, I'll take 10 more crossbow shots into Saladin's combat. And I was thinking, I'm so screwed. Within, I think it was literally 2 turns, he'd killed Saladin, and I couldn't do anything. It was just, uh-oh.
Obviously.
Sure, it could be frustrating, but it was so unbelievably funny that it's another highlight, cursed funny moment. So I don't know if any of you guys have, now that I've spoken about shooting into combat, if any of you can think of a terrible or incredibly funny moment that you've had with
No one
that
else here
mechanic.
has probably used OP evil tracker shooting as much as you have. I would
That
say.
is true.
It's
So,
won me almost an event before. I was playing Jamie Wiggins, lost 9 out of the 10 move offs in capture and control, and he had someone in combat with me on an objective, and I needed to keep the objective to win the game, and shot his dude out of combat with Rasco, which then I got the objective and he didn't.
nice.
Love it.
It was like, yes, that's just won me something.
Rascals are pretty good. Yeah,
It
Canada
had no luck in that game.
Yeah.
Yep, just pulled it round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Adam? Any Hunter Orc shooting shenanigans? They're not very good at shooting, so I wouldn't be surprised if not.
Not Hunter
Narsman, I
Orcs,
guess
not
Narsman
Hunter Orcs, but trackers.
trackers.
So I played Curtis, my second ever event, about 3 years ago, up in Birmingham. Shout out Curtis Hodgson, and he took a shot. He had two trackers, and they had to shoot past his like troll shooter, of course, past another combat, past a wall, and into my Witch King. The first shot dismounted the Witch King past three in the ways, and the second shot wounded and killed the Witch King.
Beast.
What an epic! Honestly, orc trackers are the ones you remember.
They are.
I think.
I've had a
Do
two
we-
tracker shot before. Sorry, Ash, not into combat, but no, actually, I think it was into a combat. Yeah, two trackers. They both moved. They both hit on fives onto Dane on the boar. They both went down, and obviously the boar's 2 wounds. So, and it did 2 wounds, double six to kill the boar outright. So,
Pretty hard.
Oh yeah, you've told me about the double
Yeah,
six to
yeah,
kill
yeah.
the boar. That's good.
go on,
See,
Ash.
do we? Unless Sam has a story, we'll go around the whole go around the whole floor.
Well, I've obviously used Corsairs a lot, and I've many games I've done the classic. All right, I'm just gonna sit here with my 12 arbalisters and go and just into come on, dude, kill their guy. It's great, and as well as the throwing weapons as well. If you can move all your spear sports, throw 20 weapons hit on fives. It's usually it can go really bad, as Ash has said, but it's usually good when you have enough of them. No, I can't. I've had it quite a lot. I can't think of one off the top of my head though.
Do we like the mechanic of
Yeah,
shooting
do we-
into combat?
Do we think
we-
it will stay in the new edition?
I hope so, because otherwise, like for example, Corsairs needs it to be able to deal with big heroes, and if you don't have it, they're like really screwed. It is their only way. They don't have a striker that they can go in and comfortably feel good killing. Having a strike off because the only leader is Dalamir and he's your leader. Well, with strike. So I hope so. Although it is good, very good, probably too.
I hope that they can find a way to allow good to do it as well. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know. Have we spoke about. I don't think it is actually the case, but there's like a new sharpshooter special rule, or maybe within some sort of special rule would basically say these good archers are so amazing that they can actually shoot into combat.
Maybe
and
like
if
they
they
can't do it if there's a friendly model like within an inch or 2 inches or something. I don't know.
or something like, okay, if you roll a 1, 2, 3, you just miss, and the 4, 5, 6 hits the the enemy. But I don't know, some way to make good do it. But I think keeping the the shooting into combat as a cursed mechanism does make the game really fun. And there are some of the most memorable. Oh my God, I've gone through four in the ways. I've gone down. I've killed Boromir's horse. Yippee! You know.
Oh,
So
I
So
think it is important as well as a mechanic because it just gives you another out. Because otherwise it will become too static.
yeah.
yeah, I think that is a good pick to kick us off. Shooting into combat with evil models from Ashley Walker.
Let us know below. Do you like shooting into combat? Do you hate it?
Epic
Let us know.
moment have you had? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to Sam Grattan. He is up next. What have you got for us, Sam?
yes. So I'm just gonna do a nice first one, easy, as my I think I had a lot of thought about this. My favorite army that to use this edition. Admittedly, I've only played this edition, not previous ones. However, I am fond of like I said, Corsairs and Survivors and stuff, but I think Angmar just does take the cake for me
See, I thought about this question. I thought, which army have I enjoyed using the most? And I struggled to answer that question.
Yeah.
You're just a meta chaser.
And I thought about, I bet Sam's would be Angmar just because of like, the play with the Witch King and Gulliver. And I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I think it's because other lists can do similar things, when it comes to magic and a hitter like a Mordor Spider Queen or whatever. But Angmar
Do it
definitely,
quite.
yeah, it's the most it's a play style that not a lot of lists can do in the first place, and it's so odd to compared to like playing with just a strong battle line with your heroes, whatever. It's just so different, and they have troops that are specialty troops that you need to use well in order to actually do well. Like specters aren't just move out guy. They can be more than that kind of thing. And same with barrow wights. And I think playing against it is I mean fun in quotation marks. It's like difficult but also a challenge, a good challenge.
So Sam's favorite list had just been given a brand new 10-inch moving strength 5 fell sight fucking unit. He's loving it right now.
Yeah. Like I do like because it's more tricks than positional, but I do like the positional armies as well, like survivors and stuff. But I think Angmar I played it the longest. I think that's probably why. Just took the cake, I think, as my most enjoyable list to use, I'd say.
I would.
I thought
I'd
I'd just
like
mention
to.
something. I was going to say because we didn't actually say at the start. It was when Sam said just then at the start that he's only been playing for this edition. It's probably just worth mentioning that obviously this edition is all of our first editions, other than maybe Ben or Adam. Did you guys play before this edition?
I didn't play before COVID.
No. Yeah, neither. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So this is all our first experience.
God, I'm the most experienced player then. No
Yeah.
way.
I mean, we all
I
played when we
War
were
of the
like
Ring
12.
back in the day when I was like 10.
Oh, I know. Sorry, I did play when I was a kid as well, but I'm not really counting that as
Yeah.
having played.
The magazines, guys.
Technically, before,
Magazines.
Shout out to War of the Ring.
Yeah. Go on, though, Ash. Sorry, you were going to say something again.
Yeah, I think the reason when I think of Sam and his choice of favorite army being Angmar, I think that has a huge amount to do with one terrible error of Arnor. Would that be fair to say?
He's not legacied.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Sam, if you ever Gulliver, if he remains as good as he is already, and with the what's the word? With monsters becoming better,
Improvements, yeah.
Improvements to monsters.
Yeah.
Gulliver could become even more beast.
Surely fucking not.
And
you should become fight 10 with strike.
I can't I dread to face Sam with Gulliver in this new edition. If the speculation, that's the word I was looking for.
Right.
If the speculation is true about monsters getting better.
Monsters being better. Sam actually used Gulliver at the end of this edition then with the peak sort of capability. He gave him a free combat and the ring. So you just went, oh, let's take my favorite model and just make it a million times better.
Yeah, it's pretty beast. Yeah. It's just I think it's because someone can't just pick him up and instantly use him. Like they will probably lose so many games with him just dying instantly. And that's another thing. You can't make a mistake that is, to a scale where you just will lose. That is just it. So I'm a big fan of that. I like a little bit of risk in a list. I don't like it where it's all just, all roses and it's all pretty and it's all nothing can hurt it. That's bad.
A bit of
It's
spice.
it's not a model that is just safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember games that we've played where it's like, oh, Gulliver charges into four. He's already taken a couple wounds. He charges into like two Black Numenorians, two Morannons, loses the combat because he's only got 2 dice, and you're like, you die now because he's just so weak. Um,
Fragile.
yeah.
So just using Angmar in general is one of your favorite things of this edition, Sam, as it's your favorite.
Yeah, I'd say just the list I'd enjoy most using this edition would be Angmar.
Angmar.
Close to others like Corsairs and stuff, but yeah, I'd say Angmar takes it.
Angmar takes it. Okay, so that is Sam's number 5 pick. So moving on to myself next, then. So obviously, I was thinking about what is the main thing that we've done in this edition, and for me, it's obviously all the tournaments that we go to. I went to 24 tournaments in a single year last year. So that's almost once every 2 weeks, which is for an entire year. So, obviously lots of tournaments to choose from. And I was thinking, what is my favorite event? And it's a little bit of a cheat answer here because I've gone for 3 favorite events. But that's because I've been the last 3 years in a row, which is Unnumbered Tears. I would say Unnumbered Tears takes the cake for me as probably my favorite event to go to year after year. The reason for that is probably just that it's the high points. I just enjoy high point events. I just think the bigger the better, the more toys you can fit in, the bigger and crazier stuff and the big heroes you can take. The more of that I can fit in, the more fun I'm having. And Unnumbered Tears allows you to do that year after year. It's at least, it's been 1,000 points every year, or was it 950 one year? I think maybe
I think it's 1,000 points.
Because I didn't go with you guys 2 years ago. That was when I went with Bert. My car, burst on the way up there. But but that was maybe 950 or 900, or maybe it was 1,000. But just when you can fit in lots of toys and everything, just with the list building, that's a lot of fun. Obviously, this year it was more restricted with the list that you could take, but obviously they added in the freedom with all of the war gear that you could take. So they're trying to change things up there. And then obviously last year was all the crazy soup where everyone was taking just crazy combinations of all the best things in the game, because obviously 1,000 points you can make that stuff work. So favorite event, I would say year after year, Unnumbered Tears for me. Any comments on Tears from you guys?
Just the fact that playing high points, I think we've had this discussion maybe on the pod before, but having many more heroes and having to think about lots more possibilities, I think winning at higher points is much more difficult than winning at lower points, and it takes a lot more skill to successfully utilize an army that's got many possibilities and many tools. It's more difficult to do that.
The points are more swingy.
Yeah, low points are a little bit more swingy with some good dice rolls. But especially this year, Unnumbered Tears, I kind of feel like how the edition had got a little bit stale because we kind of got all used to the rules, all understanding everything. Kind of the meta is set.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
Chucking in those cursed pieces of war gear that you can take, and also allowing you to have 2 of them as well.
Yeah.
I think that's been my favorite event of this year, definitely.
Yeah.
Just because of how much fun it was to use, like stuff that you couldn't possibly use previously, and sort of making it up yourself.
And also,
I think a lot of people enjoyed the theory hammering and the listing and all of that, which maybe had been missing for a year or so.
Yeah, true,
agreed.
Yeah, to be fair, hopefully I'll come back with the new edition. Yeah, so I think Unnumbered Tears will be an event I continue to go to for years to come, because there are very rarely 1,000 point events. That is the only one really in the GBHL that is consistently at that points level. So it's a long way away, but it's worth it. It's worth the drive. So that's going to do it for my number 5 picks. We will move on to Ben Haslam. Your number 5 pick for us.
Yeah, my 5th pick is probably something that's going. It's Special Strikes. Controversial.
I like it.
Good Special Strike. I know people say they're complicated, but they're not. They're just not.
Ben is calling you people out.
Most of them are pants, but like piercing strike and stabbing and fainting, like those kind of three mechanisms are just so good. The ability to, certainly like on a hero or something, piercing and when you should and when you shouldn't is really good. And then stabbing yourself to victory is always hilarious, unless it's happening to you. In that case, it's soul destroying. But I think that really kind of helps influence your army, and you can bring out more from it.
Yeah.
Those.
You can
So I'll be sad to see those go
a bit more. Yeah, and also like two-handing as well. Like you can two-hand or two-hand pierce. Like it's another sort of element to it as well.
I really like that pick, Ben. I enjoy using special strikes, and I mean, people might not agree with this, but I kind of feel like they are a level of skill beyond as well. Like
it raises the skill ceiling.
Yeah, it's skill expression.
Yeah.
Yes, and because, I mean, I often forget to do special strikes, and as I'm rolling the dice to wound, I'm like, oh damn it, if I'd have done this, or
Ash, that's because your reroll wants to wound
rerolling ones anyway.
Your
Exactly.
army bonus.
So when I use,
so you don't have to. There's it's just brain dead gameplay.
But what I mean is like stabbing and piercing striking. It is definitely sure, people would say, oh well, it's obvious to do it, but then you still have to be conscious enough to say, oh, this is a good time. I need to sound piercing striking so that I can do this. I enjoy the special strike mechanism. I'm a little bit sad that it's going, but I can kind of see why.
I'm not sure what's too wrong with it. I mean, maybe they just needed to make them a little bit simpler or like not as kind of wordy and kind of trimmed down. But, I think as a mechanism of, before we roll the dual roll, I can choose to do this, special sort of attack. I'm not sure that's
So I think it depends on the special strike. So something like fainting is really tedious because it just means you just get re-rolled. And it's really obvious that you're going to do it if you've got elves at the front or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or spears behind, elf spears behind. It's like there's no decision.
Yeah.
I think it's really fun when there's decisions like, are you going to piercing strike? Are you going to bash? Even stunning. It just adds that level of, I said it earlier, another out. Say you've got a big hero just gone into you last turn and that you've got three guys there, three Grimhammers. The option to actually bash and just sort of get them on their arse and actually do something about it that to me adds something to the game.
Yeah,
and I feel like we don't know what they're replacing it with. We don't know, there might be some other stuff that comes in that we don't know about. Yes, they are simplifying the game, but I'm sure Games Workshop have actually thought about this and thought, right, we still need to maintain some killiness or some decisions.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Those ones that you said are more like situational, where if you have a whole list that can faint on your front line everywhere, well, then that's just something you're going to do every time.
Yeah, but that's a bonus for paying more points for more elite troops.
Yeah, true.
I was going to say, so you should get that bonus, but because you've had to essentially fork out all the points to have a front and back line of higher fight value troops than your opponent. So you'll have paid more points for them. So you should be able to get some sort of bonus to that.
Well, I think that's what they're doing with the new edition. It seems like there's more of a trend towards.
Yeah, as you say, we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it seems like they're trying to bake in to an extent, sort of like those bonuses to like the heroes. Like a few of the heroes that we've seen so far have like a re-roll or a buffing effect. So they may be trying to tack those things on in places. So we'll find out in a couple of weeks. So, but Ben's number 5 pick, special strikes. Okay, Adam, moving on to yourself.
Yeah, I think what's amazing is how much the game has evolved just in the 3 years that most of us have been playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that really drew me to this game, obviously, after COVID, a lot of us picked up the models after when we were in lockdown, maybe painting them up and then getting together. I think one of my favorite things, I don't even have an order. One of my favorite things is just the idea that we started going to events. I met you guys at a 2-day 80 in Norwich. The sort of thing that,
and
like,
Elliot, that's the first time we met Elliot as well.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Half of you have never been back to an 80, I don't think, but they're great fun, and just just the whole evolution of the journey of being in GBHL for the last few years, and it's been really exciting. It's grown, it's swollen. Um, like the smaller events are really fun as well. I mean, I'll get onto my favorite three events from the last couple of years, and an 80 is in there. And yeah, just I like the variety of different events. So, for example, some of you guys talked about the 1,000 pointer where you could take the two items. I mean, that's fun, isn't it? But yeah, I like tournaments with a bit of flavour and the way that the game's evolved in terms of all the tournaments over the last few years.
Things have come a long way the last while. The league has grown so much, isn't it, in the last couple of years? Go on, Ash.
It is a crazy sort of progression that we have had from, again, just meeting each other in Norwich to creating a team that's managed to come sort of third and
The
hopefully
Gollum's Gamers,
the Gollum's
baby.
Gamers, which was a cursed name that my brother made up. Like he just pulled it out of thin air, and now we've. If I'd have said to Sam and James, that's
Adam's
actually
wearing our merch, baby.
No, I'm wearing
I don't
it.
know exactly when.
It's merch.
I guess it's me next, isn't it, to say my next pick? So I
Yeah.
might as well
But
lead
the
with this
dice
point.
as well. Come on, the dice.
Oh, we're making dice.
Come on.
So this relates to Adam's point, but basically one of my top moments, I get it's not in order. So one of my top moments was actually teaching Sam and James the game and then getting them addicted to playing SBG. And that kind of links in with Adam's point, which is like, if I'd have said to Sam and James on that very first day when I was teaching them how to play, by the way, mate, in 3 years, we'd have been to over 50 events. We'd have probably traveled over 10,000 miles. You'd have probably spent over £10,000 on
The
this
money,
hobby.
yeah.
You're gonna have created over 50, YouTube podcasts, 10 back reps or whatever. You'd have said,
What am I doing?
you ever me off, mate.
Let me
So
get some stats there, actually. I can get some stats, Ash. Go on.
I think it's just the fun.
Wait. Is Elliot just going through his credit card debt?
Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't have said. Yeah. I should have said not my financial stats. No, you do not want to know those.
So I just want to agree with Adam's point, how we've made friends that we never ever would have met apart from playing SPG, and I guess it's also just allowed you to travel to places that we'd have never been, and I just kind of can't believe that it kind of has happened,
Yeah. We have had almost 100,000 views across all of our content. 100,000 people. Well, maybe not quite 100,000 people, but listening to us talk about MESBG.
That's probably 100 people that's listened 1,000 times.
Since I've committed 100 people.
Shout out to Stephen Denby, avid listener. So
Definitely.
I just kind of feel like the trajectory of the league, the hobby in general, is just fantastic, and it's a very wholesome hobby to be a part of as well. That's
as we reflect on the previous edition, as we look forwards to the new edition. Yeah, that's very. I like that from you, Ash.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I wanted to agree with Adam, and that's my next point. Actually, the fact that Sam and James and Jack and Ollie, shout out, got into the game. We went to events together, and
do we
now
need
we're still
a
playing.
Jack?
The fact that
do we need a Jack v Ollie bat rep? Is that something?
There is a 0% chance that will ever happen.
How much money would need to be paid for that?
That could. Oh, I don't know.
That would go.
That
hard.
would be cursed.
That would go hard.
That would be cursed.
So, but I just kind of feel like the hobby is great, and we've enjoyed this edition. And obviously, this edition has been so good that we're still all playing now. 3 years later.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Shout out to Games Workshop. They get a lot of hate, but
shout out to Games Workshop for making a good, fun game.
For supporting the game. That is something, though, that a lot of people do love to hate on Games Workshop, but ultimately, if we all stop buying all their models, they just won't support the game anymore, and then we don't get any new stuff.
Well,
people don't think of it that way.
Back on a history trip. When I was playing War of the Ring, I think when I was 10, so like 12 years ago, they just completely cut support for the game, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
What the hell do we do? I used to go every Sunday to the Games Workshop in Portsmouth to play War of the Ring. They had like a Sunday War of the Ring club in the afternoon that I used to go to every Sunday. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're not supporting the game anymore. Oh, can we still come and play on a Sunday? No.
No.
We've got something else going on. Okay, great.
Oh,
So what
okay,
do we do
thanks.
now?
Yeah.
Then
And
it was
obviously
like the strategy.
there was the whole time like in The Hobbit, wasn't there, where they cut like, the
Yeah, so just sort of the rebirth of the Hobbit strategy battle game being merged into one Middle-earth strategy battle game. And now the fact that it's still getting support and moving on to a new edition,
growing.
I think is great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've talked a lot there. To the others.
Out of Games Workshop. Yeah, so we will move on.
Lovely
To
points.
Sam, your number four pick.
Yeah. I think also echoing Adam when he said that he likes events that have more spice. And that is totally one of my picks. I literally have events trying to shake it up. And then I've got in brackets Tears, Bubbles, Ripon this year, Ali's Sheffield event, City of Steel.
City of Steel, sure. There's a ticket giveaway currently live, although there probably won't be
Yeah.
when this is recorded.
Like I do think the events anyway are good. However, events that make the meta different because realistically, people take the same lists and it comes to if people are going to take this, let me try and counterpick them but then even the counterpicks aren't, amazing to the extent of they instantly lose. Like the lists are so good, they're so solid that they'll take it at that points level and that's it. Stuff like AOL, Mordor Harad, Isengard, and all these lists with crossbow spam and stuff like that. So I appreciate all the TOs trying to make it different. No legendary legions. You get this bonus if you go green. Because it does make other armies more playable. And yeah, I think Tears would be the one that sticks out the most just because of how cursed it was and like no legendary legions at all. And some of the war gear makes certain models that are literally horrendous, usable kind of thing.
Shout out to Kamald Easterling, who was trash and then became very good.
I think just events trying to make it different towards the end of this edition.
Yeah, I do wonder, obviously, as we head into the new edition, whether we might see far fewer of those kind of events.
Probably not the start, but I think that's
as time goes on.
Yeah.
But, even next
Maybe
year, for example, as a whole.
We could be the trendsetters, Mr. Shillinglaw. Shout out teaser to the Lemon Cup.
The Lemon GBHL 100
is
coming
in the GBHL calendar, so wait for that.
The Lemon Beast.
The Lemon Beast. But obviously with the new edition, people are going to be trying to figure out what the meta is and everything like that for the new edition, where obviously for the one we're in now, it's been set in stone for so long, sort of thing. So that's why the shake-up was kind of needed, I guess, in recent times. Yeah,
it's definitely a product of the fact that the game has been stale. But again, I totally agree. Going to all those events was just really good fun. The theory hammering, the sort of excitement around new models. Oh my God, this model is crap, but now he could actually be really epic.
Yeah.
That part of the game is the most fun.
There's not much theory hammer over a standard 800-point event at this time in the edition.
Really. No.
There's practically none.
So,
yeah.
I totally agree.
Nice. Okay, so that is Sam's number 4 pick. So we will move on to my number 4 pick. And it's a shame he's not here because I had this pick to shout out to James Goebel. He was to join us here tonight. He is the 6th slot here on the pod, but he is not here tonight. But my number 4 pick. So I was trying to think back to specific games that I had. I was like, what was my best game or my most memorable game that I had the most fun in? And it was a game against James, but he is not here to tell the story. But I have said it on the pod before, but it was James and I went to a 1-day 90 the day after Bert's wedding. Shout out Bert. We drove like 2 hours right in the morning. And it was, we'd obviously been drinking a lot, and then we woke up and we went straight to this 1-day tournament. And me and James were quite hopeful to do well. It was this 1-day 90, and we both go 0-2 in the first 2 games. It's a 4-game event. So we both 0-2, and we go to lunch, and we're just really pissed off and everything. We're tired. And then we play each other bottom table game 3 after lunch. And it was just an insanely trolly game. It was whole ground. He had Mirkwood Rangers, and I had Pits of Dol Guldur. So he came on the board first. So obviously, I then got to jump on him. So we didn't get to use any of his shooting really. And we were just trolling so hard the entire game. And just when I was trying to think back of games that I had the most fun in, that I was just laughing constantly the entire time, it was that game against James. So that was just a very memorable game after, because obviously we both wanted to do well and it just went so terribly bad. So we just thought, fuck it, so we just had a really good time. So it was a fun game. It's a shame that James isn't here too. Yeah, but
did you beat James in that game, Elliot?
I did.
So as James isn't here, I will say one of his top 5.
Was it? No. No.
So
Okay.
it links to this. Okay. But one of James's top 5 favorite moments of the this edition is the fact that across 3 whole years of games, Sam has never beaten James at a tournament game in this
Really?
edition. And it just made me laugh that Elliot, you've beaten him in this edition so far.
I've beaten him twice.
Beaten him twice in this edition. And I think there's something with James that makes his games the most just outrageous cursed games you've ever seen. And every time he plays Sam, he just always wins.
Turns out, yeah.
So that was one of his top 5 moments. But it
Okay.
could change at the finale or the emergency Southwest. Who knows?
The edition is not over yet.
I hope so.
Yeah.
James, Jenny, my games versus James are insanely cursed. Like cursed to a point where it's just you can't make it up. Like walking on the board in Melsham, 2 elves shoot at my Dwimmer Lake, both hit, both two in the waist, both go up, 2 wounds, dead. First turn, I'm like, okay, sure, that's my leader, whatever.
Right.
We play the same event again. The next day is 2 different tournaments. I've got my Eagles versus his Mercury Rangers in like the little Harad houses, and
I know this.
he just deploys all of his Mercury Rangers on top of the Harad houses. They've got elven cloaks. I can't see them, and I can't land in the Harad houses because there's no space for me. So it was horrendous. I think he killed 2 Eagles with shooting. Just like games like that. Playing Assassination versus Mercury Rangers with Corsairs.
James also just walking onto the board in heirlooms, rolling a natural 6 with Ellendale first roll of the game.
Yeah, pick up the prize.
Whenever I play James, my games are genuinely powerless. There's nothing I feel I can do to change it.
I think that one there really personifies your whole point.
Yeah.
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 Like keep finishing the story with the assassination one because it just keeps going.
Oh yeah, like James Mercury Rangers. I literally have like 5 in the ways plus a wall for my Corsair bosun. He just no accuracy. Shoots all his rangers, kills my bosun first turn. Okay, nice. That's his target. Dead. He literally tables me before I get to him with March. It's just horrendous. And then the channel bat rep is. I'm glad that the viewers get to see like that is just how they go.
Go check out the Hero of Lemon. Was it game
Fuck knows.
3 or 4, I believe? Yeah, at Ash's house.
It's like I played him at the Sea of Steel, with my Khazad versus with Hordes of Thranduil in I think it was Assassination or Fog or whatever, and I think I lost like 8 Vault Warden shields at the first turn. I was like, yeah, this is great. It's just so many games like that.
Played twice. It's like what the emphasis of this point, ladies and gentlemen, is that they haven't only played like once or twice. They've probably played 7 or 8 times.
I think it's 1, 2.
You played twice that haven't wargaming as well.
Yeah, both in shooting scenarios with Angmar. Yeah. Yeah, it's just really bad all the time. Never any decent matchups or whatever.
One of the things me and James joked about, Sam, was okay, if James, I don't know why James isn't here, but if he was on the pod, he was going to go, right, my top 5 pick was this game I played against Sam when I won. Goes around. Okay, my top 4th moment was this game against Sam that I won. Just go through all 5 moments saying everyone against the game against Sam.
I'd be intrigued to see how he'd rank all the games we played and how cursed they were in
yeah.
Would the number 1 be? I guess the one on the channel, surely, right? Just instant nat 6.
Genuinely, this is too many. There's way too many to fucking count. That is insane.
So ultimately, the key takeaway here is shout out James, I guess.
James,
Chat gamer. Okay. So we will leave it there and we will move on from my number 4 pick to Ben's number 4 pick. What have you got for us?
I really like the Janky Legendary Legions. So not like the Dragon Emperor or Arnor or AOL, like the ones that are like really powerful, but the ones that are just themey and still a bit shit. Basically, but they let you do something that the Alliance Matrix couldn't. So, Uglut Scouts, Defenders of Erebor, Defenders of Helm's Deep, Men of the West, the themey stuff that you couldn't normally do, but aren't massively oppressive, are just there because they're themey and fit the movies or the ideas.
Yeah,
and it's just a new bit of flavour.
Army of Arnor.
Pardon?
Army of Arnor.
No, that's just a. Here you go, have a legendary. Now we'll give you an actual legendary legion, which is built exactly the same as it normally is, and we'll give you even more bonuses. No shit.
Oh, foresight points, yeah. Why not?
But the theme ones are just a bit naff, but are nice and flavoursome.
Well, I think hopefully those are the kinds of ones that should be staying to a certain extent in the new edition, as they seem to. The lists are going to be built around like themey sort of points in the films. So those kinds of ones, I guess, that are themed around, points should hopefully stay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I was going to say, nice when it's an alliance of stuff you couldn't normally do.
Yeah. Have you used any of those lists before, Ben? Have you got any personal experience with Men of the West?
My Defender of Erebor, my Dale and
of course.
Iron Hill Dwarves, they're just naff.
Yeah.
Because they take away the best of Dale and they take away the best of Dwarves, and you just go, here you go, have a fun list.
Yeah. I was really hoping in the Defense of the North, that Legion with Dale and the Dwarves would have been something that was a little bit better, because that was like the main sort of good Legion. I thought, like, obviously the Bears seemed like a bit of sort of like it was only the 2 Bears and the troops, where obviously with the Dale and the Dwarves, there's just more sort of choice there. So I'd
say it's not how that list would normally be written. So that's why it's a nicer legendary legion, because it's rewarding you for picking something slightly differently.
Yeah.
Whereas the Dragon Emperor or the Bayon, it's just written, it was the Legend Legion is exactly what you'd write the list normally as pure.
Yeah.
So there's no point.
Yeah. And that's what they're trying to steer away from, is just having just OP sort of things given to these points in the films. Like, that's not meant to be the point behind having them, and they've said that, I'm pretty sure. So yeah,
give me shit legendary legions.
Shit legions.
I think point being, Defenders of the Shire Legendary Legion, allowing you to have ambushing deep striking hobbits. Going back to a game against James that we played at Bristol Big, we were playing Recon, and I deployed 12 hobbits on a forest, like directly next to his board edge, which meant James had to deploy his entire army like on the back line and wait for 3 turns, so that when I deployed my hobbits there, he could get them. Just things that allow you to, buff a shit list, but make them have like one thing that they can do that's fun.
Excellent.
I totally agree, Ben. They Legendary Legions have been a good, I'd say a brilliant addition to this edition. But some of them, needed to be tweaked a little bit. But really, at the end of the day, they have made the game more fun. So
more choice. Yeah,
they are better.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's Ben's number 4 pick. We'll move to Adam's number 4 pick. What have you got for us, mate?
So continuing with the idea of Legendary Legions, I thought I'd mention my favourite army. The Movement Extraordinaire, probably the most fun list to keep your opponent on their toes as long as possible. The list that's wet tissue paper but can hit absolute train. It's the Pits of Dol Guldur.
Hey!
We love it.
Come on.
We love it.
We do.
What's so fun about it is everyone goes, oh yeah, Azog. It's not even about Azog. It's the whole list is just it's hilarious because you've got all these models that actually move really fast. If you're talking about the doggies, and you got March on every single hero, except Keeper, obviously, and Throne the Broken. You got Throne the Broken as a deployment drop, so you can, if you lose that deployment roll, it doesn't really matter because you put Throne down, and then you still get to see where the opponent goes.
Yeah.
And then every hero you have March with, and then you can double turn, and then it's just so much fun stuff. And of course, being Hunter Orcs, as soon as you break, you're gone. So yeah, that can be a bad thing, but it can also be an amazing thing. So I just think it's just so fun. You can outmaneuver every army in the game, maybe except Rise of Theoden and the Dragon Emperor Legion. And I just think that's brilliant. I love it. So much fun. Yeah.
It's a Dol
So
Guldur.
it
That's a good
stays.
pick, Adam. That's a good pick. Do you have like a favorite moment using pits? Anything that comes to mind as a Chad moment, Azog play, or
Uh,
something that immediately comes to
I
mind?
think not there's not one.
I'm putting you on the
Oh no,
spot.
there is actually. So the game. So at City of Kings, City of Kings this year played Ash. We played a really good game actually. It's game 4 of day one, and then it was
We
like
did.
it was. Sorry, I've just built that up. It's not that game. It's that was a really good game actually. That
It's
was
the other
so
game,
close.
not the one we played against you, Ash. That was crap. The next one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. No, it was the one where I played some guy later on just before playing Sam. Um, and it was against Bjornings, and I can't remember the mission. It was the penultimate game, but it was one where my opponent he had played against Pitts before, but I
Mhm.
just saved that auto turn forever, and he just couldn't break me. He had Bjornings. He tried shooting me, and I was outmaneuvering. And then there was a turn where you get all the priorities you don't want to get. So I was moving into positions where I had to keep safe. And then there was one turn where he won priority, and I was just like licking my lips because I
Yeah.
thought, right, as I was going to call a march, and it's that idea that he didn't call with me, just so he can move 15 inches, then 10 inches without reply, and then with the free heroic combat,
Hmm.
you could essentially move, 35 inches where the opponent can't really stop you, and oh, that's delicious.
Delicious gameplay.
I love it. Of course, not leaving line of sight. I mean, why do you want that?
No. So your favorite Azog moment isn't even about like squishing anything with Azog. It's just
No,
outmaneuvering your opponent. It's
it's the
a
deception.
feint from Adam.
Adam loves the maneuverability. I'm surprised you don't take Crebain, mate.
Yeah,
To
I
go on
would
the
if I could.
audition
Would if I could.
or Dunland. Yeah, new edition. Okay, so Adam's number 4 pick, his favorite army using the Pits of Dol Guldur. We'll move on to Ashley Auger.
Woo, I'm back. Okay, quick, let me get on my notes again. Da-da-da-da-da. I think I've got to now touch upon something else that I've enjoyed a lot during this edition, and that would be magical powers.
Oh, the Pandora's box of all of magic.
The whole
No.
of magic has been opened.
We cannot go into all of the magic.
We cannot go into all of
We
magic,
cannot. I'm
so
afraid. I'm sure
I
you will find
will. I'll have to go and have one spell that is no more in the new edition.
Ooh.
Or sorry, it is still there, but it's obviously not as good, which is the compel
Oh.
magical spell. And just the plays that you have with compel are fantastic. It's just so oppressive to your opponent, obviously. Having two casters, especially Wraiths, to compel this guy and then this guy to make a hole to do this or move a guy off an objective. Just the amount of ways that compel allows you to win games is crazy.
Doesn't this say
And
something about Ashley Walker that his favorite things about MESBG is ruining your gameplay.
Well, it's good fun for me, you know.
Of course. The
And I
objective is
actually
to win the
think
game, so I'm not, but
there are techniques and skills that you can use that do hinder how effective compel is. So I'll just go into one example that makes me laugh, and I like to do it, um, which is where you've got, for example, a Boromir or a Suladan, and you go, okay, I'll compel that guy with one dice. They're just behind the battle line. Your lines are nowhere near each other yet, so maybe 10 inches away or whatever. And you just, yeah, I'll compel that. One dice goes off on a 4. They're thinking, oh, how can he do that? I don't care. You just compel the banner 5 inches backwards. And then the next turn, if you win, it didn't it only cost you one dice. Like, it doesn't matter if it goes off or not. But then next turn, if you win priority, they're not going to call a move because nothing really matters. But then again, the turn you move up, so now you're only 4 inches away. They might charge you, and you go, yeah, I'll just compel Boromir again. I don't know, one dice, get another 4. They're thinking, do I really waste a will point here? Again, he can't really do anything, but at the same time, if you just let it go off, then you're not going to have a banner next turn. So, but if you spend a will point, that's one of, a really precious will point for when you go into combat. And it's just like, oh, okay, I let that go off. Borum is now 10 inches directly behind your line. He's not getting into combat, next turn.
Yeah.
And again, just knowing the tip to put 2 models behind Boromir so he can't be compelled backwards is, an effective block against that. So there's just lots and lots and lots of fun things you can do with compel. And magic in general is obviously very, very powerful. But
Indeed.
I do think using it effectively is also quite challenging. So I guess that's kind of why I like it, because it's working out, how many resources to spend, what spells are the most important, who is the most important targets to do it on, and finding that sort of puzzle together to win the game. I really like that aspect.
This is coming from a
So
man.
creative.
I don't want to give him
Yes.
too much gas, but he did come third in the GBHL last year with
Oh no, that's one of my
using
best moments of this edition.
a considerable amount of magic. So,
Yeah. No, magic was definitely the way that it happened. If magic is again the most powerful tool in the game. So
without the Witch King.
the Witch King especially.
Magic do be
Sneak
way too
peek
OP.
for
What do people think?
Magic too good. Hashtag.
Yeah.
I think the changes are good so far.
magic is being stripped away to some extent in the new edition.
I do like the
Hooray.
changes, to be fair.
I mean, it could be that they're making the casting rolls and things lower to compensate for that in some areas.
I hope not.
No.
I don't think so, but until we see, we can't say for sure. But yeah, it seems like they are trying to strip back. But yeah, it might not be as big as we're maybe thinking, but yeah.
Come play Lord of the Rings, but you paid for a Gil-galad. You now can't use him because Ash is going to spend 1 will point a turn to stop
With
him
the
from
mouth
doing
of
anything
Sauron.
all game whilst destroys your army.
Yeah.
See,
Enjoy that
I
one.
don't think that's. I think that's a problem with Gil-galad's profile, not necessarily a problem with.
So it's nothing to do with the Witch King Sullivan 17 will with 13 of it being re-rollable. So you've got actually what?
Yeah, it's
30
everyone
will to
else's
spend, and they've
Yeah.
got 3 at most to resist.
Well, they should
Definitely
have more to
nothing
resist.
do with the imbalance.
Realistically, being the High King of the Elves, he should have had more dice to resist or resist the magic. But yeah, magic has been really good fun, and I will be sad to see it go.
It's not
Sad to see it
It's not going.
going,
It's still
actually.
gonna be the
I
best
Calm
know.
down.
It's
You don't
probably
let me
still
finish
going to
my
be the best thing.
sentence.
The
I'll be
Witch
sad
King
to see it
and
go.
Suladan have just
as-
dodged so many
Yes.
little bullets,
Yeah.
and now finally it's getting nuked.
Yeah.
And you've done well, Ash. You've done really well.
But it isn't necessarily. It's not necessarily being nuked. But Sam, were you saying you think it's going to be the best thing? Still?
I think it will still be the best.
Yeah, still
It
been
probably
really
will
Well, we already know the
Probably.
Gorbinator's been nerfed.
Yeah.
So there we go. The spot's up for grabs. Yeah.
Fight 7 Gorbinator.
Oh.
I think the change to magic will definitely make it worse, but it still probably
Still
has the
really strong.
potential to be the best thing in the game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sure. Okay. Well, on that note about the magic, then we will move on to Sam for his number 3 pick for us, please.
Yeah. My still, I guess, because Adam said, "Oh no, is it you, Ellie, about your favorite event?"
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think my favorite event I have been to, which I don't know if it's because it was so different, but I've put the Nations Cup on there.
Oh, good one.
Um,
Good one.
uh, I think because it's the only international event I've been to, like yeah, apart from Scotland, but
So
in
three of you guys went, sorry, Ben, Adam, and Sam all went to the Nations Cup
yeah,
for the listeners, yeah.
and
Jay as well.
And Joe.
yeah, I think just because the
Not here, so
Matt, no,
that's
well done.
yeah, for Jay, for Jay. I think the way that the list of the events run when it comes to like, although it is just a standard 800 point event, when you do good versus evil and you do this pairing system where you can actually choose its matchups, a list matchup, skew lists and lists that wouldn't be playable at a normal 800 point event do become playable, which kind of does make the list building aspect. It makes it so that it's there. It's not just let me take the most OP stuff all the time. So you get some really odd lists that do well because they get given their good matchups. And I think as well as just meeting, like playing against people, from France, Italy, and stuff like that, it's a whole nother. They play the game differently, and it's interesting to see how they play the game differently and what they prioritize. And I think this event overall was really good. And I mean, may be back this year, maybe not. God knows. Hashtag Jamie Wiggins. See if I get an invite. Um,
Sam, you got
um,
to perform at the last 200 in order to get your ranking up.
oh, nah, fuck that.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed traveling out with Adam as well. It was a chill vibe, and yeah, it was a really good event. I think just because it was so different compared to the standard 600 point event. That's
Yeah.
36 games I'm going to go to,
It
and
is something, just what you're saying about like, playing other people from different countries and sort of like play the game differently and things like that. That is something that is a shame I haven't had the chance to yet experience. I haven't been to something like Ardacon or anything like that where
Mm,
yeah, obviously you guys have been as well. So just yeah, not being able to kind of see just how other, sort of not metas are, but I guess like what the norms are for people when they play in their own local areas and stuff. Obviously, that varies depending on sort of where your local area is and all that sort of thing. So place in Europe and things like that is obviously just different from over here. So at some
yeah,
point, yeah, I'll go to Ardacon or something like that. And
yeah. That's I thought that was probably the best event I've been to.
yeah,
Ran really well, and it's happening again this year in Poland, in Warsaw, which will
yep.
be nice. But yeah, that's my
Nice.
third pick.
Number three pick. Okay, cool. So we'll move on to my number three pick. So uh, to piggyback off of my number four pick, which was my the game I had the most fun with, I thought, well,
You're going to
what's
talk about
what
the worst gaming experience you've had this edition.
oh, we're talking about our favorite things, Ashley.
Oh, sorry,
And
sorry.
we're talking about our favorite things. So I thought, okay, so not like the game I had the most fun in, but what was the game that I would look back on and maybe think this was not the most competitive game, but like where was the game where I was the most like locked in on trying to win? Where did I think that I was really trying to perform and do well? And sort of I look back on that game and think, yeah, like I had a really good, go of it there. And that would probably be at unnumbered tiers, obviously talking about unnumbered tiers in my fifth pick as well. But yeah, this unnumbered tiers just gone. I was fortunate enough to finally play against Mr. Jake Rawson, having been to many, many GBHL events, but just having not actually played Jake yet before. But we played in game 3 of day 1. We were both 2-0 at this point. So yeah, just went into the matchup like really looking forward to playing, and obviously that'd be a really good game. I didn't know how it was going to go, but yeah, sort of the game as a whole, I think there was just a moment like in the game where I sort of realized that just like I was really locked in on trying to perform really well, and just like I was really trying to pay attention to every small little detail. And it was a mega, mega close game. I so almost won it. I lost the last 3 priorities. I was winning the game. I lost the last 3 priorities. So, or move offs rather. So I wasn't able to kind of move anything and do anything in the game. So that was why I lost ultimately. But it was a really, really good game. And just kind of looking back on that, that was probably the game where, you know, you entered the flow state, so to speak, you know, like you were proper locked in on just trying to, you know, micromanage everything as well as you possibly could. And it was very recently as well. So yeah, to close out the edition with a game like that was really, really good fun.
Who would you say has been the when you've been playing that like a top opponent, who have you thought, okay, God, this guy's good? Because I think
so when I've been playing them.
Yeah. Like, did you? Because obviously Jake won the league, you know, and
Well, that was it. Yeah, arguably.
Was it like? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you know, arguably the best player in the UK, potentially beyond that as well.
Were you like, oh, okay, God, this guy's good, you know? Or was it kind of like, oh, I can match him, you know, I'm here as well.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, I'd always back myself to, you know, do well in any game. I mean, it was, I think at this point now, obviously, like I know most people in the league pretty well, so I was more excited to just play Jake because it had been so long that we've been to so many events and I just hadn't, you know, played him before. Often because after, I guess, like the first couple games, he is on like the top 3 tables for the rest of the event, most likely all the time, where I'm not so consistently. So I was more excited to play him more than anything. I think probably the time where I felt, oh, this person's really good and I'm probably going to have a really hard time winning was probably the first couple times I played Farmer, where I was a bit less experienced. I think so. I think I've played him 3 times total, and I think in the first 2 games, I don't think I got a VP in the first 2 games. They were pretty bad matchups, to be fair. I mean, the first one wasn't, but the second one was a really bad matchup. But so the first one I lost, I kind of messed up with my Emperor, and my Emperor got killed. So then I went into the second game like, oh, I got trashed in the first game. This was like a few months later, and then I had a really bad matchup, and he also rolled me. But I was a little bit less experienced then as well. So yeah, it was probably Farmer when I played in the first couple of times. But yeah, obviously having now been to 24 events in a year, you know, you get a lot of experience. So
yeah, cool.
But yeah, probably playing Jake at Tiers was one of my highlights for this edition. So shout out to Jake. So moving on to Ben Haslam for his number 3 pick.
Well, I was thinking about fun, hilarious games I've had, and one that sprung to mind was when I went to Imps with my Dale, and I brought my rather fun, fluffy, shooty Dale, which was led by a captain for Contest of Champions.
Was this the Imps just gone? It was, wasn't it?
The Imps just gone. So I had Girion, who died, and he was replaced with just a bog standard captain for Contest of Champions as the first scenario of day 2. And I was already like, oh, this is not going to go well. And I was surrounded by lots of other good players who were all like, we want to play Ben because he's got no chance.
Captain.
And then I had a game where I only rolled 6s, and against Pete Harvey, wonderful Pete Harvey. I managed to roll 3 6s that game, and I had lost. So I managed to roll a 6 to choose a side, so I chose my side. We then did a 6 variety. I rolled a 6 variety, so then I did a roll up for the move. We then did a move, decided that he was good because I just rolled 2 6s, so I couldn't possibly roll a 4+ again. Rolled another 6, so he then won the move off. And before I picked up my dice again, he had combated through after calling death and killed a warband and my captain with Theoden, and I was 10-0 down. Lead had Ted. Theoden had 3 kills, and I was nearly broken.
Oh dear! And this was after.
And all I rolled was 3 6s during that entire game, but it was absolutely hilarious.
What was your record at this point? Sorry, were you 3-0? You were saying?
I think I was 4-1 because I'd had the brilliant shooting with my Dale. I'd managed to shoot Roger Theoden off the table twice, and then I played Jake Rawson's Defense 3 4 crossbow army of Corsairs and Uruk-hai, and his 4 crossbows managed to outshoot my 18-shot Dale. And I have never seen so many 1s and 2s. When I rolled my 2 turns of shooting, I killed 1 model and he killed 11, which was disastrous.
Imps is also a very good event. I think that was quite high up my list when I was trying to think of events that I enjoy a lot. Imps was very high up there as well for me personally.
But yeah, I thought it was hilarious that I'd managed to lose a game by only rolling 6s, essentially. I know it was only 3, and it was a small caveat.
3 of them, and that was it.
Yeah, I literally had to roll 3 6s. Oh, it's 10-0 already.
Yeah. Taking a captain in
I can't
contest.
get back at this.
That is pretty brave, taking the captain in contest. Oh,
Well, I knew I was going to lose that one.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
told me, I was like, okay, so Ben, what's your hero day two for contest? You're like, oh, Dale
Captain Rebel.
captain. I was thinking, that's a bit of a rogue choice
Okay.
there, mate.
Right.
But
You were looking for the
I
clip on the
respect.
live stream. That was it.
I just respect that you're like, yeah, I'm taking it. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Still was in the top 10.
I know that's
There you go.
crazy.
That's a true gamer right there. So Ben getting steamrolled in Contest of Champions is his his third favorite moment from this edition.
Oh, it was very funny.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay, so moving on. Adam, to your number 3 pick for this edition. What do you have?
Actually, reiterating a lot of things you guys just said, so I'll go through it quite quickly. I outlined 4 events which were my favorites. So Lord of the Imps, the 3 times I've gone.
Yeah,
It was my first ever event 3.5 years ago. That was brilliant.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
It was so good that Harry Parkill had to play the first half of the game for me because I was actually stuck in a lift in London. So he comes on. He had to ask me what exact models I had. So he went and borrowed models. I think he asked a mate to bring some as well. And plus his ringer case. He just brought all his Mordor. He plays half the game.
Played half the game.
And yeah, that was my first ever experience at the tournament.
Nice.
Shout
out Harry.
City of Kings, Ali King's event in the south.
No longer Ali King's event, which but it has been up until now. So.
But I like the way he's edited the scenarios, like things like Caesar Prize. He changed it to Caesar Prize is. The heirlooms, he changed it to 6 heirlooms where they had numbers and you had to try and get the highest total prize value. So that was really good fun.
Now, if you're curious about that scenario and how exactly that works, you can go watch the first ever podcast we did.
That is
City
crazy.
of Kings preview 2022.
Don't go and do that.
I don't think it was.
No, it was the year after that. It's 2023.
Yeah.
24. It was this year.
Oh, sorry. It was 23. Sorry, 2023.
He did start to do his own scenarios last year in 23. That was our first ever episode. But in 24 is when he did that particular one where it was they add up to 11 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, right. But yeah,
it was really good.
Sorry, last year as well, 2020.
So to explain to the listeners, there were 6 tokens. And they had values. I think it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you could pick 3, and the person who rolled higher on the dice gets to pick the first 3, and they can't sum higher than 11. So you'd probably pick like 5, 6, and 1, for example. No, that's 12, isn't it?
This guy is a maths tutor, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go. So yeah, they couldn't sum higher than 12, right? Because there has to be 6 numbers. Right. So, or at least I was the one who figured that out. So, and then you'd put one of them, your opponent would try and go for your 3, thinking they're the ones that sum higher, etc., etc. And no, that led to a really good game between Ash and I. I really enjoyed that.
Sam, I played you in this.
That was genuinely really good fun.
I did.
Yeah, I played Sam and Ash played Adam. Yeah, in that.
Yeah, quite typical that we end up playing a lot of the Gollum's gamers.
I think it was the previous game where I played you, Adam, I believe.
Yeah, we played.
Yeah,
then you guys played. Then I played Ash. Then I played Sam.
I think
forced to be reckoned with.
I think that was probably his best change of the scenario because that 1 to 6 score really was like, okay, it's kind of got the randomness of heirlooms still there, and it's also not an insta loss if you just pick up one of them. Sure, if you maybe get 5 and 6, you could be in trouble. But still, you could have broke him and killed his leader. And I just thought the way he pointed that was really good.
It was really strategic because you could actually end up having to go for 4 as well because of just the way the numbers work. And even with 4, I mean, it depends what the numbers exactly were and who's killed who's leader and whatnot. Even with 4 of them, it might not be enough, right? So really interesting scenario. And then actually, I'm going to mention this, an 80-pointer, which I went to about 2 years and a half ago, run by Tim Elwis called Side by Side Without a Friend.
Shout out, Tim.
This was an amazing event where it was an 80-pointer singles, but with only double scenarios.
Okay.
And of course, I took pits,
Nice.
and it's just great fun. So you play 4 double scenarios, but on your own, like as in like singles.
Yeah.
So you're actually just playing a completely different game.
Mm.
I thought that was great fun, really
Okay.
creative.
Nice.
So those 3 are my top events, and then of course the Nations Cup, which Sam has already mentioned. The idea of a teams event is just superb. The idea that, I think most of us were probably thrown on the bus at one point, and you just sort of see it out and just hope your opponents mess up and you get like a narrow loss, something like that, and you hope your teammates go and smash it. And then equally, when you've got a really good matchup, you have that pressure to really maximize. And just the fact that every game is so important, even if you're getting trashed, it's so important still just to try and grab a point or whatever. And yeah, just playing completely different people. So yeah, those are my
I
top
kind of
4
wish.
events.
Yeah, I don't really know how you could do it outside of the Nations Cup format because I know it was a 90, wasn't it?
Yeah,
They
there have
did
been a
like a
couple of
GBHL
teams events.
90.
Yeah, I think there's been
I've never been to a teams format like that, but I would be very excited to go to one because it definitely sounds like, everybody mentions how much fun they are. And also the fact you're playing for a team as opposed to just for yourself gives that extra pressure and extra sort of camaraderie.
you would have to field a Gollum's Gamers team
Imagine if they could do a
Super
GBHL
team.
teams one
team event.
Yeah.
where
GBHL
they actually get the
Diamond.
Gollum's Gamers and they get Guardians and they get like any heroics, they get any all the teams throughout the league. That would be amazing.
That would be
That would
cool.
be good fun.
But then you need like 80 teams because then like 8 from France would want to come and
Mm.
whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you bring in 30 GBHL teams, well, what are we doing?
You've
What's
got
this like
No, but I
you've
mean
got like
like a
Sparta
270
GBHL,
Crusade or something?
people.
or you
Yeah,
just have a GBHL teams when you're playing your teams, your GBHL teams.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just get all 9.
So I guess so. Adam's pick his favorite events is his number 3 pick for this edition. Nice. So we'll move on to Ash's number 2 pick. What have you got for us, mate?
Oh, number 2, that's tasty. So I think the social element of this edition, I mean, that doesn't really make any sense, but the socials that we've had through playing this edition, some of the moments that we've had have been really, really good fun. A couple, I don't want to steal. I'll leave the one we spoke about before, Sam, if for your thunder, if you wanna bring that one up. But a couple that I've got written down that are incredibly, been awesome is we kind of discovered, or me definitely discovered karaoke and how fun that is simply because of going to different uh
Again, battle our number tiers
S
as well.
SBG events,
There
right?
was also an
If
epic karaoke night.
because we're basically we were just sort of going around different events, going into pubs, and it's like, oh, should we go to karaoke then? I've never had done karaoke before outside of doing it after, the pub night out at an event. It was like, yeah, that sounds like good fun. And just some of the really funny memories we've had from doing karaoke, specifically at the Masters last year when we kind of got everybody up singing. Um, Basically, quite a lot of the pubs will have sort of like, karaoke every first Saturday of the month, and there's no karaoke. And I was like, excuse me, it's the first Saturday of the month. Can we have the karaoke machine out,
May we
please?
have the
And they'd
microphone?
like walk out the karaoke machine, and then we're just on it all night. And then there was also karaoke at the finale last year that World Champion specifically set up because we asked him to do it, and it was just literally a giant speaker, a microphone, and you just sung karaoke songs off YouTube. It was just so fun, everyone getting involved, everyone joining in. It's just, a fun social thing that we were doing. And then I've got to shout out something that myself, Sam, James, Jack, and Ollie have attended multiple times, which is a pub in Worcester called the Berkeley.
How is that making your number 2 pick?
That is, these weren't in order, remember?
Sure,
But
okay.
I think just the trips to the Berkeley, I think, did we go back, was it 3 times, Sam, or 2?
3.
We went back 3 times, and each time it became just more weird. So I won't explain all of it, but basically it was like this hotel that was, well, not a hotel, it was like an Airbnb that was like above a pub, and you could drink in the bar until like 12 or past 12, and you just walk up the stairs into your room. And this place was literally in the middle of nowhere. Like the pub was sort of, you look out your bedroom window, it's just fields and road, and that was it. And
I
it was
totally
just,
didn't think. I thought it was right in the middle of Worcester, like near the venue.
No.
it was
Oh.
miles away. It
I
was
don't know
so
where I got
far
that
away.
from.
It was probably like 20-minute drive from the venue, something
Oh,
like that.
right. Okay.
And yeah, it was just so fun. It was just so cursed.
Shout out to Berkeley.
Shout out to Berkeley. Hope the owners or the new owners or whatever are making
We're
back.
still there.
Basically, we turned up, and each time there was a different owner. So we turned up one time, owner. Turned up the next time. Oh yeah, we stayed here last year. No, new owner. Turned up again, new owner. It's just the turnaround of that pub is crazy.
That's not going
So
well.
I think the social element of doing stuff after tournaments has been really good fun.
Socials at events. Also, while we're on that topic, the football that we did was also really good.
Oh, no, that's my
Oh, no,
miss.
was that a pick?
That was the one I
everyone's
We're talking about socials,
That's on
guys.
everyone's
My
pick.
next pick over to Sam Grattan is the
Okay.
football at Suffolk.
Well, we're talking about socials. Like that's okay. The football. Sam, over to you. Your number 2 pick.
My number 2 pick is the football at Suffolk
Yeah.
after the Wolf's Lair. So I think we did this. So this year we did
Last
it.
year.
Year before we did it as well, and there was definitely less people last
We
year.
did do it before, didn't we?
Shout out to Vince Wong for organising a football 2 years in a
Hell
row.
yeah. That was
Let's go,
hard.
Vince.
And then last year was not as there was I think it was like what 8,
The last
9.
year was the
Even
Gollum's
have 10.
Gamers plus Sam Palmer, right?
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, there was like 9, and then this year
And Ben
Um,
Farmer.
Yeah.
I remember just messaging everyone and saying, "Hi guys, do you want to come to play football with us afterwards?" And somehow we had like 17 people come, and it was just so vibes. Everyone was playing, and it was just so you finish your day of wargaming, and it's such not a thing that you'd expect people to just go play after fucking moving models around the board. And it was just
Okay.
it was great fun. It was like 2 hours, I think it was, I want to say.
What's a long time? Yeah, I
Yeah,
stayed
Because
there
we
for the
booked it.
full
Me and
amount of
Sam found the venue for the one after Wolf's Lair, and it was just so good.
Yeah.
We-
Mm.
Shout out if anybody wants to organise sport events after their tournament, please do, because we will attend, especially if
go.
it's football.
Yeah. It was just great. We had we did I think we did captains, right? We did the people who did the best day one.
Yeah, the two
Yeah.
people that finished. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that
Um,
happened.
And yeah, it was just I think that element of it, just playing when you play football, you have an excuse to just shoulder barge people that you just like Ash just going into fucking like anyone, he just doesn't care who. Farmer with his bad knee, just lol lol lol.
There were some people throwing their weight around, which was great.
Yeah.
Well, that's what football's all about, right?
Exactly.
Like I
No,
said,
no,
it's totally
it's
about-
nothing at all.
It was
No,
fun.
It was fun.
It took me months to recover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ben was particularly broken by the end, if I remember right.
So I was in work the next day with
Being
multiple
hacked to
attacks.
Yeah, it was just so
There is a
funny.
photo up on our Instagram for anyone that is curious about seeing how the football went. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like the
a
fact
video,
that
so.
we invited everyone. Like it didn't matter who. It was like everybody's welcome to come along and play football. The more people that turn up, actually, the more fun it is. Even if
How many did
I
we
think
have
was
in
it
the end? Was it
Denby did Denby say he hasn't played football? Like
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
who said they've never played football before turned up and
Yeah.
just had great fun with it. So
It's like Jakob said he was horrendous. Denby said he was horrendous. Rawson said he was horrendous.
Rawson sacked it off though, so
Rawson did sack it
does
off,
not
yeah.
get to partake.
yeah,
in
that was sad.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great fun.
Yeah. How many people did we have in the end? Was it teams of
It was I think it was like 16 or 17.
17.
17?
I think we had 8 on. I think it was 8 aside.
Oh yeah, wasn't it outnumbered and then we swapped? Or teams run even, sorry, and then we swapped.
Yeah, it was either 16 or 17. It was really good though.
Yeah, it was
It
good.
was totally worth it.
Shout out to Vince for organising it. Yeah, we will have to do more and not leave it until the end of next year or something like that. We'll have to sort something else out. Okay, so that's Sam's number 2 pick. Moving on to my number 2 pick. Something about the game, I guess more specifically, is, and it's a shame, it's something we might not be seeing as much in the new edition, but I think if I'm thinking about sort of interesting things about the game, which I think is really cool, although I don't personally use too many of these kinds of lists, I do find it really interesting when I see all the soupy combinations that people can think of taking in the current edition. Now, obviously, I know there is a big group of people that probably play the game who don't like these kinds of things. For example, our 1,000 subscriber battle report, where we had Sam Grattan using the themey Shadow Lord, Watcher in the Water. What else was in that list?
I think it's just Shadow Lord, Watcher.
Yeah,
might be a Witch King as well.
That memorable moment from the film. Obviously, there's lots of people that don't like those people probably don't listen to our podcast anyway, though, I'd imagine. So just seeing like all the interesting kinds of combinations that people come up with. Oh, like what would happen is it didn't happen in the films, but if this character met up with that character, and you can just sort of, I like seeing the different combinations of factions and heroes and the different soupy carnage that people can think of. I think it's a really cool thing.
That's all part of the fun, right? I really hope they don't take away that element of the game and make you only play pure theme and only stuff that happens in the books and the films. Because like the whole point in getting involved in like a fantasy game is that you want to sort of have your own creative spin on it. Like, what happens if Farmer Maggot and Boromir decide to team up, and all that sort of cursed things that are just good fun. I really hope there's some sort of list building shenanigans that you can do, and it is good fun.
Yeah,
especially like because the way the Alliance Matrix works at the moment is kind of things that are really obviously thematically linked. They keep all their bonuses, but you can work down the like Alliance Matrix in order to have these sort of alliances that wouldn't make sense, but also still have them run. And I think that's a good thing. But
I think it's good that they still like to maybe try and do some of those more soupy things. Like you have to take it as yellow, so you lose army bonuses. So you're sort of saying, right, like I want to do this interesting kind of different thing, which could be really good, but there's going to be, a drawback to that as well, where other lists will gain these buffs, where obviously you won't. So those are kind of strategic choices that you can make to sacrifice certain things in order to do this cool and interesting list. So I just think the soupy flexibility and stuff of list building, I think, is something that's really cool about the game, and hopefully it stays in some respect in the new edition. So it's my number 2 pick. So moving on to Ben.
My one was Ash, and Sam kind of covered it. It's the socials. I had football written down for mine. Ardacon this year was great fun.
Ardacon.
Myself and Jake managed to organise a night out for Jay for his birthday. Yeah. So we had a bottomless brunch after gaming, and then went out for a club afterwards. And like half the people from Ardacon came and joined us. It was great. But just the socials. They're just good. Playing games and then going and having social events afterwards.
After. Are you going to go to Ardacon next year? Do you think you're going to next year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll be organising the same thing.
There were talks on whether the team was going to finally make the Ardacon trip. Are we prepared to commit on the podcast?
I can't commit on the podcast because I might be poor still when it comes around, and it is a very expensive week. But it's definitely my intention. I know Sam and James have spoken about it as well. To try, we've got to go. We do have to go to Ardacon. It's like meant to be the pinnacle of SBG gaming in a week. So we should go, but whether or not we will be able to it's kind of because it is a huge commitment, isn't it? It's like all week.
It's 4 days.
But you'd kind of want to go out the night before, wouldn't you? So
you want to go the Wednesday before, and
if I would go, I think I'd only go to the weekend event though. To be fair,
the doubles is good as well. You do want more than the weekend.
At the end of a 2-day tournament, though, I'm so done. So I don't think.
But that's the point in Ardacon, isn't it? You go for all the game. You play You play in the doubles. You then play in like the last chance masters. You then play a few practice games. You then go for the You're meant to be there gaming all
The
week.
entire
So
time. Well, I 100% can't go to Article next year because I've got a wedding on that exact weekend.
So you're
Oh,
not
sorry,
gonna-
it's stag do. Sorry, it's stag do. Sorry, I have to go to the stag. So yeah, that's next year. But okay, more
following year.
socials from Ben for his number 2 pick. Adam, what have you got for us at number 2?
So one of my points was the socials, and the other was the football. So I'm now one off scraping the barrel. So I'm wondering if I keep my best one, as in the only one I've got left for number 1.
and make one up on the spot.
I put 6 down, guys. I thought that would be enough. Right. Okay. Number
freeze
2.
ones, yeah.
Number 2. I'm going to put the teams element. I know
Oh,
it's
that's
briefly
okay.
mentioned before, but the teams element of the GBHL. That was really exciting when it came out. I'd done sort of half a season and then moved back to the UK, and then the teams thing happened. That was really exciting. Obviously met half of you guys in that curry house up in Norwich. And yeah, just another way to sort of form bonds in the community, have a comedic sort of other competitive edge as well. I mean, it's not perfect, but the idea that everyone can contribute to scores is really good fun because you're all like supporting each other as well. Like the last game, everyone's hoping, oh yeah, Con James, you can go and get the podium, and then his points would count towards our points, and
Yeah,
that is exciting. It goes beyond friendship, doesn't it? So yeah, it's good fun.
yeah, the teams is really good.
Yeah, I think the teams has been a good addition as well.
Yeah, I think the GBHL did well there. Was it Ali who implemented that, or was that after he was no longer part of
After
the
his
GBHL?
supreme tenure was over.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
remember he joined our team in that really epic video that everybody should go and watch.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was
That was a year after.
the teams had already been running that year.
Yeah,
though.
the teams have been running for a season.
Yeah. So was he? Oh, I'm not
He
sure.
was still. He was
Yeah,
still
he was
the
definitely
coordinator.
It was
definitely
wasn't
one of the people behind it, right?
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the teams are good. Okay, moving on. So we are on everyone's number 1 pick. Ashley, although they're not in order, but Ashley's number 1 pick. What have you got?
Yes, I'm going to end this with some huge amount of modesty and humility, which is one of my
alluded to
best
earlier.
moments is that I podiumed 3rd in the league last season, which was something that I absolutely never thought I was going to do. The Witch King Suladan combination just went really, really well for like, I think we went to 5 events, and I think I won in a span of 5 events in a row. I managed to win 4 of them just out of basically getting really lucky.
And that is why you listening to this podcast have heard of the Witch King Solidarity
Yeah,
list before.
it just, I genuinely, the run that occurred was just the craziest thing ever. It was just like, oh, I managed to get lucky and win an event. Oh, I got some more luck and won the next one, and it just kept going until some bad lamb took me out before Sterling, and then everything came to an end. But yeah, I just was able to come 3rd in the league, which was I was genuinely surprised myself.
It was quite the run.
So I think it was a good fun run, and I'm definitely proud of the fact that it was able to happen.
Yeah.
Top highlight of this edition.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. Shout out to Ashley Walker for in the lead, but not shout out that he hasn't done it again this year. So
Yeah, I know it's too difficult.
where are you now at the moment in the league as we head into the finale?
I think when they get updated, I'll be 5th.
You'll be
But-
5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're like a point ahead of me.
Yes. Thank
How
just
the
It's
mighty
really,
have
really close
fallen.
between us two now. But you've just appeared again.
Yippee.
Thanks.
Knocking him off at the last second.
I go
So it all
the
comes
yes.
down to the finale. But
It does.
yeah, I think the podium is 2. I think
You need to win
the
two
podium is-
100s out of 2.
yeah.
I'm
which I
sorry,
think
you
is
are
gonna
going
to get
yeah, so
third.
you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
What's your space? Okay. So moving on to Sam's number one pick. What have you got?
Yeah, probably a fairly not boring, but again, they're not in order. But I, although a lot of the time I say that the meta's solved and the people take the same lists and stuff. Uh, I think this edition, not all, but nearly all of the armies are playable to an extent where you can actually have a game where if the list is built right and the person knows what they're doing, like you have a chance at winning. Obviously, some are just way better than others, so a lot of them are overshadowed. But some of the lists that we think are unbelievably poo, like realistically, they are bad compared to what is available, but they're not like you've just gone 0 and 6 kind of thing. A good player can still go 4 and 2 with a list that is really bad if they play it well enough, kind of thing. Which I think is underrated in the game. Like,
Hmm.
even some of the I'm trying to think of a list that is just so unbelievably mid that is still like okay.
Defenders of Erebor.
Hazard Doom.
Yeah, like
Doom.
Defenders of Shire.
defense. Yeah, like, you can just they can be playable to an extent where you can win games and you can maybe get a third and so on and so forth. Like they're not. Of course, you have to get lucky to get a podium with some of these shit lists, but um, they're not like I think Eagles, for example, is one that is maybe to a point where you're pushing the boundaries there, unless you get insanely lucky. Like,
Well,
Well,
just
you're
talking
talking
of
about 100, right? If you're going to a 1-day 90 or 1-day 80, you can
yeah,
totally do it with those lists.
yeah.
talking of Khazad-dûm, just to plug, there may be a bat rep coming to a channel near you in the.
Oh God, what a batter that is, hey Elliot.
Oh,
See,
very.
Elliot, a teaser for the guys here. I hope you've left in the juice of that bat rep.
What juice?
Is that not the
No,
What?
is that not the take two? I can't say because otherwise it'll ruin the surprise if you've kept it in.
no, I don't think he has. I don't think he would have.
Is there another?
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't edited it yet, so
Oh
I'm not
right,
sure
I'll
what
say it to you
juice.
after, Elliot.
I can't remember what happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Offline,
Yeah,
we'll talk
sure.
about that.
Yeah, I just think the overall army, the ability that you can use any army if you use like, you know, if you want to use it, and you can still do okay, get lucky, and you might go 5-1 if you're or 4-2 if with it. But a lot of these lists are some of them are just way too good. AOL, Emperor, More Sully, all these ones that you see all the time. You always hear us about.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I like how there is a
Balanced.
yeah. Overall, it doesn't seem balanced because
Have
we always
okay
waffle
stuff.
on about the best stuff, but I think overall the game is to an extent where you can take a list and be
Well,
happy with it.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's what lots of people who come over to SBG sort of really like about the game, and it's
Yeah,
something that, when you compare it to other game systems, is something that's unique for SBG that really doesn't exist in
yeah,
other Games Workshop games and things like that. So
But you could place basically any player with any list against anyone else, and depending on the scenario, I think it's you could take any two lists, and if you find a balanced scenario, you'll have a really, really close game. It just depends what the scenario is, kind of determines how skewed the result will be, which I think is a really good thing about this edition, is that, as Sam said, you can kind of play any list in a scenario that's kind of favorable and have a really good chance.
hmm. I really do hope with the new edition, just a side little thing, that there are new scenarios or something there. It's really cool they're coming out with new profiles and updates to the game, but the scenarios we actually play the games, on or through, are equally as important. So I would hope that there are some changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So that's Sam's number one pick, like the balance for the game and all that sort of thing. So my number one pick, I wouldn't really be the host of the Gollum's Gamers if I did not say the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
the podcast, the bat res. Would I really be doing my job right if I didn't plug my own venture here? No, that wasn't going to be my number one pick, but sure, it will be my number one. Yes, just running the
that's
channel.
a very fitting plug.
I think it has to be, right. I have to say, running the channel, doing everything to do with the pods, the bat reps, all that sort of thing, everything we've done over the last year and a half now, has just kind of elevated, I guess, the enjoyment about the game. I think just, being able to obviously hang out with all you guys often. Obviously at the start, we were doing it so much more. And obviously, as time, goes on naturally, kind of, I think as well with sort of how stale things have become in the game as of late. Obviously we do it a little bit less, but there's bat reps and things like that we've in and out of there. The emergency podcasts have been really fun lately for me personally.
The emergency podcasts are generally hilarious.
I do one of them.
When I was able to work from home more, and it's just like Elliot gives me a message, I'm like, God damn, yes, I can jump on my lunch break immediately and record for 45 minutes discussing some random profile, some random rule,
some new thing.
Like those are genuinely good fun.
Yeah, they've been fun.
The pod on the channel in general is good fun.
And it's allowed me to, because I've had some previous YouTube channels and things like that as well, so to continue sort of a creative element as well kind of is something I've always enjoyed doing, sort of editing and all that kind of thing. And there's been kind of challenges to overcome as we've started doing the bat reps and all that sort of thing. Kind of sinking my teeth into all the content creating and things like that again, like I used to do in the past, has been really, really fun and something I've enjoyed.
And the stream
a lot. And the stream, of course. Yes,
will be at the finale to round off this edition.
To the Lord of the Imps, the stream that I did.
That was really high quality.
Thank you. Yeah, so those are up on the channel for anyone that is curious what that is about. Yes, we live streamed a GBHL 100 event, so we'll be doing that for the GBHL League finale as well. So no, those have been really fun. I'm hoping to do at least a few of those next year as well. Obviously I've invested some money into the kit and stuff, so I'd like to obviously try and use that wherever, and people really enjoyed them, I think, as well. So hopefully they'll get better and things like that as well. So just the channel, I guess, as a whole, so it's been really, really good fun for me personally. So okay, moving on to Ben, your number one pick.
Yeah, mine's probably an unexpected pick. Mine's the Question of the Ring Bearer supplement that came out. I know.
It's a crazy pick.
We're going to destroy this competitive channel. I quite like playing narrative scenarios. I think you can have a lot of laughs with the narrative scenarios, kind of making up the stories as you go along, recreating from the films. And the narrative scenarios from the Quest of the Ring Bearer were brilliant to play as a full campaign. Had the full campaign.
I never knew this about you, Ben. This is a little
I love it.
Cap.
Why do you think I like this fairly shit Legendary Legions?
No,
there we go. Right.
Absolutely loved it. I've had ring wraiths being killed multiple times by stones being thrown by Merry. I get 3 ring wraiths were totaled in the campaign by Merry stone kills. You can have lots of laughs. The scenario's really good. There's nice balance to them. Some are really quick, some are longer, but as a supplement I thought that was really nice. I really enjoyed that one. It was a nice themey supplement. So that was probably my favorite bit that came out of the edition, actually.
Nice. Ash, sorry.
Shall we see if Elliot will run any narrative scenarios on the channel? Narrative.
Well, I would need Ben to very much lead on that. I have never touched anything narrative to do with the game.
I think the fact I would have to be the puppet as to be the other narrative.
Yeah, he would.
I would definitely say no.
No. So that is on Sam, you guys, for who is denying you the narrative content.
Yeah, I'll take it. I think, Ben, if you gave me a million chances to guess what your number one would be, I don't think I would have got that.
No.
I thought you were about to say if you were paid £1 million to play a narrative scenario, you would still say no.
No. Oh, what?
That was going.
No, I that is the most rogue thing I've heard in our pod in God while. And
that was a really good pick.
That's a refreshing take there, Ben.
I thought you were going to go down the route of hitting your Legendary Legions to be like, Black Riders Legendary Legion are the best thing that's ever happened to the game.
The Dragon Emperor is the best thing introduced into the whole new edition. It's a fair, balanced profile and needs no changes whatsoever.
Yeah, we'll leave it there, guys.
It definitely is not. The narrative scenarios are just great. I've played most of the ones in most of the supplements that come out. But my
Yeah.
favourites have been the ones from the Quest of the Ring Bearer.
Who did you play the Quest of the Ring Bearer ones with?
I played with my brother and friend I've got up in Leeds.
Nice.
It's very funny watching Scott's face when you kill his ring wraith with a stone, and then you do it the turn after again.
Some sadness there
because they have no fate on them in the scenarios. They've just got one wound, so they just go.
Scott's ring wraiths. Well, if you've been, thirsting for some narrative discussion on the Gollum's Gamers, I think that is the first in our year and a half tenure. Yeah, for some, yeah. Okay, so we will leave it there for Ben's Rogue, number 1 pick, but I like it. Adam, moving on to the final pick of the episode, although I do have a honorable mention if you guys do as well afterwards, but Adam, your number 1 pick.
I'd really like that pick from Ben, actually. Yeah, brilliant pick. My first ever list was Kira Thungor. So yeah, I only started playing the game actually after that supplement came out, like literally as it came out. Yeah, brilliant. My last pick. So actually, I've got 2 things here, both under the same umbrella, which is the mechanics of the game. So 2 things I love about the game in terms of the way it works is, first of all, the movement. So my first game that I played like a lot was Fantasy, good old sort of 6th edition Fantasy, then 7th and 8th, then it died. And some people kept it going with 9th age, which I went to one tournament for. It kind of died. Sort of fan-led things do sort of die out. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen now with MESBG. So that's been continued, and it's going to be supported well by Games Workshop. So that's good. And the movement in Old Fantasy was very rigid, but I loved it in terms of how things moved as units, and you'd offer a bit of chaff to try and gain a bit of movement and positioning and such. And I feel like MESBG has a little bit of that. You can use bait, you can use magic to pull things around, you can use faster units to sort of counter or sort of feint away and things like that. And I think the movement in general, if you look at a battle line after 3 turns of fighting, it kind of looks realistic because holes appear and like the lines aren't straight anymore. And it kind of just works. It really does work on a microscopic sort of one-on-one tactical level of the minutiae of the game, up to the bigger strategic section. It just works. And I'm pleased that I think the game is not going to fundamentally change too much.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
The second thing that I really like about the game in terms of the mechanics is the flavor that the heroes have in terms of the weakening as the game goes on when they run out of resources, the idea that might will fate how they work as stats, but also how actually when a hero is out of might, they are just so much more vulnerable. Like you can just take them down with, a Grishnak, a Gallbag. Whether that remains to be seen, we'll find out. And to which heroes. But the idea that when you've got Aragorn full stack, you're not taking him out. So you need to wait, you need to play a game, wait for him to waste some resources on something, and then go in on him later and take the right risk at the right time. And just the idea of people getting tired, I think Might Will Fate does that really, really well.
And I guess it's on the flip side of that as well, is like when it's using those resources at the right time, and obviously your wait as the opposition, you're waiting for them to run out of resources, but when you're the person managing them, it's using them at the right moment so that you have them when you need them at the important times in the game. Obviously that micromanagement there is obviously a really key part of the game that's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's decisions. That's why we play a game, isn't it? To have decisions.
Yeah.
I think, Adam, your point is fantastic. The game just is genuinely good. It's fun.
SBG
the mechanics are really smooth. Okay, there's a few janky things you can do to sort of manipulate and really power max within the game. But yeah, the way it works is really good fun. And obviously that's why we play it and have a channel about it.
That's why we're here and we talk about it.
Weekends doing it.
Oh, what a way!
It's really great.
What a
I'm
way
still
to
here.
round off the top 5. So, any honourable mentions from anyone before we close this out? Anything else wrote down or nothing this time around? Okay, I had one because my number 1 pick was not going to be the thing about the channel. I just felt like I had to do it. So, one.
You just ruined the whole point then, no?
You what?
I had to do it. That's
I felt that was the right thing to do. And if I didn't do that, that would also be a negative thing. So my 6th pick, my honorable mention, is that I was trying to think of when am I having the most fun playing SBG? What is the thing that happens in the game itself that I find the most enjoyable? And for me, it's whenever, if I have a big, scary hero, like I was saying earlier, at like higher points is when I feel that, I can take more of those things, right? So let's say I've got like a 200-point hero or something. When am I having the most fun with that hero? I'm having the most fun with that hero when they are getting to constantly every turn have a chance to run around the board and kill stuff. And you are far more likely to be able to do that in more of your games if you have a free heroic combat. And that is one of my favorite things about MESBG is using a big scary hero with a free heroic combat. Because then every turn in the game, let's say you lose a move off. Okay, usually if you've got like a Glorfindel or something, well then Glorfindel's going to sit there and he's going to, unless you want to spend a point of might to combat away, obviously then you're having to use resources for that, but you're going to sit there and you're going to fight out one model who's tagged you off or something. But if you have a free heroic combat, every single turn you have a chance to move around the board and impact the game in a different way every single turn without having to spend resources on that. So no matter what happens, you're always going to have a chance. Obviously you couldn't lose the dual roll and then you can't do that, but every turn your big scary thing is going to be able to move around the board and do something where I guess if you say lose loads of move offs in a row, you can get bogged down with your, the biggest thing in your list that you want to be having the most fun with. And then you're maybe not having a very fun game because you're not doing anything with that toy, right? But if you've got, say, Azog or Elendil or something, they're always on the move, they're always impacting the game. And I think that's one of the funnest things in SBG, really, using those scary models to their full potential.
You're definitely right that free hero combats are really good fun.
They're mega fun. Right?
There's no doubt about that. That is. Yeah.
So that is my rogue pick there for honorable mention, but the only one of this episode. So that is this will most likely be our last podcast. No, sorry, because we're doing the GBHL finale preview, which will come out. So I guess that will be the very final podcast of this edition. And I guess what a fitting way to close it out with the GBHL League finale preview.
You're streaming.
What an addition it's been.
Yes. I'll be streaming the finale. So I'll be doing a announcement video sort of for that, like I did for Lord of the Imps of Reform. But yes, so I will be live streaming the finale. So if you're not going to be attending, you can watch along all weekend. I will be there live streaming all 6 games from the finale, and then the awards ceremony afterwards, as well as we had last year. So more details to come for that shortly. But we will have the preview out, and obviously a fitting way to close out the edition as well with a preview. Probably, easily the thing we've done the most of, and it was our first podcast as well. So it's a fitting end. So that'll be coming out shortly as well. In like the second week.
We got to ask the viewers, what are your favorite things about this edition?
Indeed.
Come on, you didn't say it.
Sorry.
What are your favorite things about this edition?
Yes.
What are your top 5 moments? If anyone writes their top 5 like in a big paragraph, that'll be lit. I'll read it.
Someone Ashley will personally get back to you.
I'll reply in the comments.
But that is going to close us out. So let us know your top 5 favorite things from this edition. And we will see you guys at the finale preview next week or a couple weeks time. So thank you very much everyone for watching this top 5 episode from the Gollum's Gamers.